We have to decentralize power. Life does it all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
And how the question is, how do we go about doing that in a conscious way that adds value rather than impedes it?
Maybe that leads then to my last question. So if now an organization starts to think about using patterns of sociocracy 3.0, or if they start trying to do more of this, what would you say would be maybe one of the biggest changes in terms of mindset that is required to use that successfully?
Well, I would say that we're the ones we've been waiting for. And what I mean by that is, very often people who are closest to the work have a pretty good idea about how to respond. And there's a tendency in all of us, I think, to look outside of ourselves for the answer. And there's value in that to a degree, because we can be inspired by others and we can learn from others and so on. But if each context is unique, and if the biggest mistake we can make in responding to complexity is to act with yesterday's thinking, then I think the prerequisite is to bring consciousness into the moment and what we're doing, to adequately acknowledge what we've learned ourselves and from others before, but also to take each situation on its own merit, and to ask ourselves in that moment, is what we currently have and know about this good enough to respond? And if not, then what shall we do instead? So it's really about, I think consciousness is fundamental.
Being aware of what you're doing and why you're doing things.
Awareness is a precursor to consciousness, but awareness doesn't change anything. I can be aware that I'm making mistakes and it's leading me in a direction I want to go to, and still leading me in a direction I don't want to go in, but I still continue doing it anyway. So it's not just about the awareness, it's about having the will to actually behave differently. And we've been exploring here in these days this idea that between the habitual and the new, the potential for greater consciousness resides. And largely speaking, we act out of unconsciousness, and that's a good thing, because there's enough to think about in the moment without having to think about everything again and again. But the problem with that is that in a moment when we're confronted by something new, we can easily project the past onto it and react to that in the ways we learned in the past, and that might be more or less appropriate in the moment. And the problem is expounded by the fact that that's not just one person in collaboration, but there's many of us doing the same thing. And we've all got very different habitual ways of doing things. So when we need enough coherence between us to create value together, there has to be some conscious inquiry into some kind of agreement around a good enough and safe enough way to proceed.
Thank you very much, James.
Pleasure. Thank you.